Good morning. How was your day today? All right, thank you. Yeah, not much. How about you? Nice. Was that on a whim, or did you kind of plan that? Oh, really? I need a vacation too. When should you join SAG? SAG-AFTRA now. Unions. Maybe you're in the UK. Maybe it's boy, I'm blanking on the name. Anyway, when should you join the union? I get this not as a question. I get it as a sort of announcement. Like, people speak to me before they're going to move out to LA, or they're getting into acting, and so and they just can't wait to get their union card. And the problem with the union card, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't. There's no problem per se with the union card, but I just want to lend some perspective to those who are eager to jump on the SAG train and think that that's going to make them a legitimate actor. The union is here to protect your rights as an actor. Your like any other union, like even any union within the industry, IATSE, or whatever or maybe outside of the industry, any labor union or whatever. So they're here, and they're a great resource. And I know some people involved with the union, and they really try. They have a lot of people that they represent, so their resources are somewhat limited, but they try their best to be a valuable resource, and to protect the rights and the payment structures and all that stuff of actors, and so it's become sort of a understanding from the actor's perspective that the union is like what makes you legit. And most big projects are what you would, I guess, call union films. They're done under sort of the SAG, as a SAG signatory, I guess, or whatever. I'm not I usually have people who handle all the paperwork for me. So they operate under the union guidelines and of the actors union specifically, and are required to hire, depending on the contract, SAG actors at SAG rates, at union rates, or then if it's a low budget modified contract within the U.S., or whatever the contract guidelines are for outside of the United States and the One World agreement that SAG has with other countries, SAG-AFTRA, and that is the case for most studio films and TV shows, I would say. Not as much commercials anymore, really. So what I would like to you to entertain is, if you are not union yet, or perhaps you are union, and then you already probably know what I'm about to tell you, that for some people, when they get into the union, they sort of get quite fortunate, and they sort of get kind of lucky, or lucky in terms of they just get a good hit and a match, and they get on a pilot which is actually studio backed or network backed, and it actually goes to series, and boom, they're on a show like right off the bat. But my experience, that really doesn't happen much. But you have this sort of idea that when you go SAG, you get the real work, right? And what I would like to encourage you to think about is just as a producer, and this is also good for you to know if you're trying to get into producing your own film or feature and stuff. Though the unions are made to protect the actor, sometimes under certain circumstances, it's not the best solution for the producer. Now, I try to make features union and stuff, but there are certain circumstances under which it doesn't behoove you to do so. For instance, some countries, low-budget modified contracts don't exist outside of the United States. Meaning, if you shoot a film in Barbados, or you go to New Zealand to film an American movie with American actors, and that movie's a $200,000 movie, low budget movie. There is no contract from the union at the moment that I'm making this film, under which what's called a low budget modified or whatever. There's different terms where SAG rates are adjusted downward to match essentially the budget of the film. So, if I'm a producer and I make a union film outside of the borders of the United States, and it is a low budget film, I would still have to pay the actors, the SAG actors, full union rates. Whatever that is at the time of this recording, it might be around $1,000 a day or something like that. That is pretty hefty for a little tiny film. So in that case, one could not blame the production for trying to go non-union on the film, to try and not do it as a SAG film. That having been said, to play devil's advocate against myself, the union does compensate for the lack of a modified low-budget contract outside of the United States, with the fact that not all actors are required to be union if they're local hire. So if you hire locally, you can pay them whatever they would get paid locally, but the actors that you bring in from the United States need to be union and therefore paid at full union rate. So that's just one circumstance. Another might be it's a short film, and there's different union. They're really trying to keep up with all the various productions, but they're also fighting the fact that budgets are getting slashed, content volume is going up, producers, the demand for more content for less money is really getting pushed, and so when you have unions and different departments, studios demanding to slash budgets and independent investors not having the resources to make a big budget film, or films being really ambitious and yada, yada, yada. There's always a fine balance, and whether to make a film union or non-union is always it's just one of many considerations that producers make. Now, after you've done a couple of films, usually you tend to just go SAG with everything, and that's fine. But here's where it matters as a actor who is aspiring. I can make you union eligible by submitting certain paperwork. It's a bit more work for me as a producer, yes, but if I really like you as an actor, that's fine. There are some shows and stuff that don't want to look at you if you're not SAG or SAG eligible or whatever. But in my experience, and I don't profess to know what everybody thinks in this industry, especially not at the large network and studio level. I don't know all of them personally, and so in my experience, it's been that if somebody likes what you're doing, they can give you the option to become essentially union or eligible. And the other side of that is that if you are not going to make a union project, but you like a SAG actor, you as a producer can hire them, and it's fine, but the actor takes a risk at getting in trouble with the union, and because they're not supposed to take non-union work. So, conclusion, when you're getting started, understand that there's a lot of actors in the union over 100,000, I'm sure, maybe more, that have fairly substantial portfolios. So there's a lot of working guest stars, co-stars, and all that stuff in the union with resumes that are quite impressive. Now, to build up a resume, you might want to get a few non-union projects under your belt first, because there's more of them. That's just something to consider. I'm not saying that's the right way to go. But I would say my advice would be not to be in a rush to join, because it is a little bit of a one-way street. So once you're there, you're in, and that's it. But you might find that suddenly there's a drop in the volume of potential work for you. So consider that I know a few actors who have been on 15, 20, even 30 projects, good projects, independent projects, and they have not unionized yet. And they are getting to the point now where they have a strong enough resume, they're considering joining the union, because they feel like they're experienced enough to start competing and really truly making this a much more, like trying to up their game, basically. So you could equate it to a camera operator purchasing a DSLR to learn how to shoot better, and once he or she has totally outgrown that camera and just knows everything about it and has done plenty of work with that and sort of maxed out what they can earn and make and do with that camera, only then should you start investing in an ARRI Alexa or maybe a Red Epic or something like that. So look at your acting career the same way. Make the right step at the right time. You don't have to be in a rush for these things. SAG eligible is a good status to have. That's a good status to have, because you're eligible, but you can still kind of do non-union work. But I understand that, you know, it's really frowned upon if you maintain that status for too long. So just do things at the right time. This is a long-term game. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So grow organically. If you're starting to tap out on non-union work and you're sort of maxed out, you've done what you can, and you realize, like, okay, well, the only logical place to go from here is into network television and theatrical or studio-backed features, then go for it. Just know that you're up against a lot of people that have very substantial resumes in that space. So the competition pool's going to be a little bit higher, and the likelihood of getting work is it's just more competitive. So you should probably have a good agent by then. You should understand that if you're not in touch with a manager, maybe you should have a manager, but discuss this with them and make sure that they're solid people and you have a good team and have a strategy and know what you're going for before you join the union. All right, that's it for this one. Hope that helps. Share, subscribe, love or hate, and tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. I love to learn. All right, guys.